Coming up tonight on the news at 6. Damage to power lines, homes, and landmarks. Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz has what you need to know about the strong winds sweeping across the state. Plus,
we can reduce the burden on our small business owners while simultaneously protecting the health of Montana workers and customers.
Governor Greg Gianforte announces big changes to statewide COVID-19 rules.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 6.
Good evening. Welcome to the News at 6. I'm Marian Davidson. Thanks for joining us. Well, powerful winds were whipping through the Helena Valley, and that led to a number of downed trees, damaged homes, and even left one East Helena family without a roof. Around 11 a.m., the wind tore the roof off this home by Lane Avenue. Now, the renter told us he was taking a shower at the time and initially thought the family dog may have knocked over the TV or other furniture, but he soon discovered a terrified dog and debris scattered across Lane Avenue and neighboring properties. All right, now let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz to tell us more about that nasty wind.
Yeah, just a nasty, brutal, damaging wind with widespread results like this here. Sad to say that the tree right in front of the Civic Center that gets decorated with Christmas lights every year toppled over here by just that powerful, powerful wind. How strong were some of the wind gusts? Take a look at this. In Helena, 81 miles per hour. Mount Sentinel, which is just to the east of Missoula. All right, it's up on top of a mountaintop, but still 125 miles per hour. That is incredible. Up on the High Line, multiple reports, 80-plus mile per hour wind gusts. White Sulphur Springs, 78. Great Falls, 76. Hurricane force winds are 74 miles per hour and above. The good news is the wind is beginning to die down here. Still, we've got very powerful gusts out there, 40, 50, 60, almost 70 miles per hour. However, look at Helena, 36 mile per hour gusts, Great Falls, 43 mile per hour gusts. So the wind speeds are beginning to come down here. Still, most of the state is under a high wind warning for at least another few hours. But we're going to be looking at this wind now continuing to slowly die down through tonight into tomorrow. And now we've got some snow, a pretty good snow band crossing the High Line here, working its way into central Montana around Loma and Fort Benton. This snow band is putting down some pretty good snow here. So not only do we have the wind, now we've got a little wintry weather, but that wind will ever so slowly, like you're taking your foot off of the gas pedal, will ever so slowly ease up here through the night and through the day tomorrow. It's probably not until late tomorrow that the wind really calms down. Finally, some flakes are flying and Arctic air not too far away. I'll have more of the full forecast coming up.
All right, thanks for that, Curtis. A big announcement from Governor Greg Gianforte today. He is making changes to the state's COVID-19 directives, including lifting the statewide restrictions on operating hours and capacity for businesses like bars and restaurants. But that decision does not mean immediate changes in some areas. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian reports.
Governor Greg Gianforte says his goals were to make state directives on COVID-19 simpler and easier to understand, and to remove what he saw as arbitrary restrictions on businesses.
These new directives are clear. They are practical. They are common sense.
Gianforte's updated directive will take effect Friday morning. It removes the previous administration's requirement that bars, restaurants, breweries, and casinos operate at 50% capacity and close by 10 p.m. However, this change won't override local health boards that have adopted their own capacity or hour restrictions. Gianforte said he consulted with health leaders, businesses, and others before making his decision.
We can reduce the burden on our small business owners while simultaneously protecting the health of Montana workers and customers. These two are not mutually exclusive.
The new directive also removes the specific limit on the size of gatherings. It says public events should be managed in a way that meets CDC guidelines on things like social distancing. Gianforte said about 42,000 Montanans have received their first doses of COVID vaccine, and that pharmacies expect to have vaccines to 97% of long-term care facilities by the end of the month.
This is the path to the day when we can take off our mask, throw it in the trash, and go on with our lives in a safe manner, and I know all of us want to get to that point. and I hope it comes soon.
Gianforte said he's pleased that the federal government now says people 65 and older can be vaccinated, but that he's not going to make any immediate changes to his plan, which calls for people 70 and older in Montana to be vaccinated first. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Gianforte previously announced plans to remove the state mask mandate, but that will not happen until more people have been vaccinated and the state legislature adopts liability protections for businesses and other organizations. Now taking a look at the state's COVID-19 situation, 609 new COVID-19 cases were reported today in Montana, bringing the number of active cases in the state to just under 5,000. 7 more deaths were reported since last night, bringing the statewide death total to 1,074. Active hospitalizations rose from yesterday and are now just around 200. MTN uses a combination of state and local data to provide you with the most up-to-date numbers regarding COVID-19 in our state. And because of that, our numbers may differ from the state report. Frontline workers are not only your doctors and nurses, many others work in the front lines of the pandemic. MTN's Alexia Guayo tells us how the younger generation is helping our community fight COVID-19.
These are your frontline workers, your heroes in Helena. We may recognize them as medical professionals, but your heroes are younger than you may think.
I'm Riley Jacobson. I'm 20 years old, and I came to Helena to go to Carroll College to study nursing. And what I do as a medical scribe is I follow around physicians and PAs in the emergency department, and I listen to patient stories, and I kind of keep track of their exam and their x-rays and just everything that's happening during that visit.
I'm a senior at Capitol High School this year. I'm only 17 years old. I am a patient service technician, so I help patients order their food correctly and deliver their food to them.
Although these ladies may not be involved in the direct care, they still work in the rooms and in the hallways of COVID-19 patients. They say being there for others in need motivates them to remain working in the front lines.
Well, these people need someone to take care of them, and obviously I'm not a nurse and I'm not treating their real medical needs, but they still need someone to talk to. So I love to just be able to go talk to them for a little bit and make them smile for a little bit.
There's always something to learn, and there's always somebody who needs help. So always a reason to go.
St. Peter's Health has over 24 employees aged 21 or younger. Many of them work in the emergency department as a medical scribe or as a COVID-19 table screener. In Helena, I'm Alexia Guayo, MTN News.
Now, those two ladies were among the youngest to receive the first round of COVID-19 vaccine doses. And new information tonight, law enforcement released more about a fatal tanker explosion on I-15 near Basin. The driver of the tanker was a 34-year-old man from Rexburg, Idaho. Police have not released his name yet because family is still being notified. Now, the crash happened just after 4:30 yesterday on the southbound side of I-15. The road was slick and the vehicle overturned while taking a corner. The tanker began to leak and then caught on fire. And still ahead on the news at 6, the latest from the impeachment vote in Washington, D.C. Stay with us. Well, for the first time in history, a sitting U.S. president has been impeached a second time. The House of Representatives voted 232 to 197 to pass the single article of impeachment for incitement of insurrection. The vote comes 1 week after a violent mob stormed the Capitol and disrupted the counting of Electoral College votes to officially certify Democrat Joe Biden as the next president. Now, Democrats argued President Donald Trump played a role in inciting the crowd, and a total of 10 Republican House members voted with their Democratic colleagues in favor of impeachment. Now, that is the most votes by a president's own party to agree to impeachment. But many Republicans stood by the president, accusing Democrats of rushing the constitutional process.
It's always been about getting the president, no matter what.
There was a domestic threat at the door of the Capitol, and he did nothing to stop it.
Vice President Mike Pence rejected a resolution to invoke the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump from office, which opened the door for the impeachment vote. The impeachment process now goes to the U.S. Senate. And Montana's only U.S. House member, Republican Representative Matt Rosendale, was one of those lawmakers who voted no. The only statements from Rosendale on his vote came via Twitter. He said impeaching the president would only further divide the country, and he also called the vote, quote, another episode of the Democrats' disgraceful political theater. Now, one of the 10 Republicans who voted for impeachment today was Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney, the third highest ranking Republican in the House. Earlier today, Rosendale blasted Cheney for her vote, saying she ignored the will of Republican voters and is unfit to lead the GOP caucus. Rosendale was elected as Montana's only U.S. House member last November and was sworn into office just 11 days ago. And now for another look at that weather, here's Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz.
You know, Marion, a lot of people today ask me, where did this wind come from here? Well, it was a really strong area of a low pressure. You could see that right there. I mean, this is just a powerful low, and Montana gets its strongest winds when the center of circulation moves off towards our north here. And with the counterclockwise circulation, you get this wind that just comes right down from the mountains across the entire state, producing more than hurricane force gusts. I'll have more on the full forecast coming up next.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are looking at the winds beginning to settle down out there, but we are not out of the woods, so to speak, here just yet. Looking through the rest of this evening, you can really, and through the overnight, you can see how the wind eases up some. Everything's relative here. Still looking at some wind speeds up over 30, 40 miles per hour through the overnight, where you see that color orange. But the really intense wind will even die down a little bit here into eastern Montana. Die down a little bit. Again, remember, it's kind of like letting off the gas, but you're still moving very, very quickly. By Thursday afternoon, a very nice situation around Helena and Great Falls, Cup Bank, even into parts of north central Montana, the wind dying down. But look at that wind through eastern Montana throughout the day tomorrow. It's not really until Friday morning that the wind will subside here. Little wind on Friday off of the Rocky Mountain front, but nothing like what we have experienced throughout the course of today. Wanted to show you sunburst here because snow now covering the ground. We've got some flakes flying. Great Falls, the Highwoods getting a little snow right now, 37 degrees in Great Falls. Still some gusts to 43 miles per hour. That's really windy. However, it's not 76 miles per hour like we had earlier today. And in Helena, 37 degrees, some gusts almost to 40 miles per hour. And again, Helena in the valley, an 81 mile per hour wind gust. Just think about the trees that came down, 100-year-old trees that have survived many, many windstorms before. Until today. Temperatures, we've got numbers falling through the 30s, even into the 20s. And here are the sustained winds, so still very windy in Helena and Great Falls and Lewistown and Bozeman. Jordan sustained winds at 45 miles per hour, 40 miles per hour in Miles City. And the peak winds, the gusts going all the way up to now only 36 miles per hour in Helena, 39 miles per hour in Lewistown. Still really nasty wind into eastern Montana. Glasgow, 46 mile per hour gusts here recently. Road conditions earlier today, a lot of these semi-trailers that were knocked over by the wind being cleaned up here. And good news, northeast of Great Falls, Highway 87 between Great Falls and Fort Benton reopened. However, as of last check for me, between Great Falls and Belt, Highway 87 still closed because of those powerful winds and also some blowing dust and debris here. I mentioned the snow. We had some rain earlier today. A lot of rainbows out there as well, but boy, did it get nasty after those rainbows came through. There you can see some of that snow around Geyser and Geraldine, Fort Benton and Loma. A little band persisting up through about the Shelby area and Cup Bank. A couple of snow showers up on the Continental Divide, maybe over Rogers Pass as well. But there's that system still producing a lot of wind. Everywhere you see that tannish color, that is a high wind warning. This is a major, major storm as far as the wind goes here. But a couple of snow showers still tonight, but that wind will persist through the overnight hours. It's backing off a little bit, but we're not going to get rid of that wind until later in the day on Thursday in the western part of the state. And as I mentioned before, probably not until Friday morning into the eastern part of the state. Hey, at least we'll have mostly sunny skies for tomorrow and no snow. Now heading into Friday, when the wind finally dies down for just about everybody, there's a little system coming through with a few mixed rain and snow showers depending on elevation here by Friday afternoon and Friday evening. It's not a very powerful system. Snowfall amounts, areas up on the high line, including right where we've got that band of snow, there may be an inch or two. The big snowies, the Little Belt Mountains, the Big Belt Mountains picking up just a little accumulation here through tonight into tomorrow morning. Tonight, wind continues, but again, it's slowly easing down. Temperatures also coming down into the 20s here for most locations. Again, that wind stronger the farther east you go in the state, and around Helena, still some wind through the overnight hours, especially up into the higher elevations here. For tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, stronger wind the farther east you go. It's probably not until the afternoon in Helena, Great Falls, and Cup Bank that wind dies off here almost completely. For Friday, there's that little disturbance in the western part of the state. And again, a couple of snow showers around Helena late, maybe a little mix of rain and snow around Great Falls. Not a very big system coming through. Saturday, after a morning snow shower into the mountains early on, looking at mostly sunny skies, a little breezy, but nothing like today. Talking winds maybe up to 25, 30 miles per hour. For Sunday, hello, snow. Yeah, late in the day, a little system moving in with more widespread snow that will continue into Monday here for a lot of the states. So for Helena, you can see the numbers, temperatures gradually trending cooler and cooler. Breezy day, we'll call it tomorrow. A couple of snow showers Friday, some snow developing late Sunday into Monday. I think maybe a couple inches into the lower elevations. Wednesday, another chance for some snow ahead of Arctic air that could move in by late next week, talking sub-zero temperatures. A little more than a week from today. In Fort Great Falls, a windy day tomorrow, still up to 30-mile-per-hour winds. Some mixed rain and snow showers on Friday. Sunday later in the day into Monday morning, maybe 2-3 inches of snow. And then snow showers again likely Wednesday ahead of that Arctic air, likely to move in again late next week.
Thanks for that, Curtis. Coming up, how Carroll's indoor track team is prepping for the challenges ahead of not having competed since March.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back to the News at 6. Thanks so much for spending some time with us this evening. Well, the last time the Carroll College track and field team competed was the beginning of March last year. MTN's Sam Hoyle takes a look at how this season will continue to be a challenge.
With all the practice time in the world and no place to go, the Carroll College Fighting Saints indoor track team is having to look elsewhere for meets this year. With their normal spots off the table, they'll head to Black Hill State in South Dakota on January 22nd as they continue their indoor track and field season. And their head coach, Harry Clark, says everyone is ready.
We haven't competed since March last year. That's our main thing. You can see these guys' eyes that it's time to get going and to get a little more pep in their step and all the practices and the weight room lifting times and things like that.
The Carroll track and field team had to disperse due to the COVID-19 pandemic in March as they were getting ready to move from their indoor to outdoor season. And for senior Josh Malone, his final year has certainly been different.
Smaller practices and stuff and getting more one-on-one time with coach, which is also good, but we're missing out on that kind of team camaraderie and getting everybody together, but it's been good to get kind of that individual work in with coaches.
The track and field team at Carroll will head to Black Hill State on the 22nd to compete in their first meet since March of last year. And it will also be the first time that the Fighting Saints will compete against many of the schools they'll face that day. And though they'll be coming in as the new kids on the block, sophomore Lee Walburn thinks they'll stand a good chance.
It's definitely like that underdog mentality and wanting to prove yourself, it's that we're NAIA, but when we compete against Bozeman and MSU, it's like we're there to prove that, we can compete at any level. Excited to compete and can't wait to put Carroll on the map and hopefully get some winning.
The Fighting Saints will continue to navigate through this wacky indoor track and field season when they head to Black Hills State in South Dakota on January 22nd. Reporting in Helena, Sam Hoyle, MTN Sports.
All right, we'll wrap things up here on the News at 6 when we come back.
Montana's news leader. You're watching MTN News at 6.
That does it for the News at 6. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back here tonight at 10 with your latest local headlines and, of course, another look at that weather. But also, stay with us around the clock online at ktvh.com. We'll see you back here tonight at 10.